being happy. I am aware it appears naive, but I do still believe my wife has not yet had physical contact with the OM. I moved from Europe to the US to marry my American wife in October of 2018, after many lengthy vacations together since 2015. I entered the country on a fiancé visa in around Thanksgiving 2019, after a very slow and lengthy process. I've finally received my green card and work authorization. At that time, I tried obtaining a job, but that process too was slow and unrewarding. I fell into a state of mild depression and homesickness. I mostly ended up behind the computer or TV. I realized what was happening but had a lot of trouble resolving the issue. I came to my wife several times asking for help, but I was unclear about what I was asking help with. In doing so, I was hurting my wife, and a few weeks back she came to me letting me know I had broken her heart. She expected more from me than I had done and told me I needed to either get my act together or prepare for divorce. This was a major wake-up call, and I have done a complete 180. I have since taken over 100% of the housework and started applying to vacancies, this time without discrimination, applying to everything that is available. This paid off, and I finally have an interview scheduled next Tuesday. However, the harder I've been trying to work on this, the further she withdraws from me. She is also seeing another man, who lives with a girlfriend of his own. She claimed to have no feelings for him and had told him she would not go see him again. However, she did not break off contact completely. Instead, she continued to talk to him over the phone and internet. Last Valentine's Day she was upset and said she needed some time alone to go read a book in a local park. I found out, however, she went to go see him again. After this she fell ill, and I have been taking care of her as I have always done in the past. Yesterday, when she was supposed to return to work, she told me she didn't feel well enough to go to work, so I told her to call out sick. A few hours later she told me she was going to see the other man again, 4th time. Up to this point I do not believe they have had physical relations. However, I still feel she is cheating on me. I continue to work hard on fixing our marriage. However, she just continues to shut me out more and more. This is an issue she knows she has. When something hurts or has hurt her, she shuts it out completely until enough time has passed for her to distance herself from the pain. Just 2 weeks ago she was willing to fight for our marriage and willing to move to Europe with me if things didn't work out here. She admits I have been doing everything she asked for and more since the day she told me I had broken her heart. Yet she is emotionally withdrawing from me more almost every day. There are some better days, but not many. She is willing to try some things with me, including marriage counseling. But she continues to remind me that her heart is no longer in it. She also tells me she will not stop seeing this other man. Already had the "I love you but I'm not in love with you" speech. It was merged into the "you broke my heart" speech. Since then she told the OM she wasn't going to see him anymore, but insisted on continued communication through computer. Phone. Shifted back and forth several times on how she is feeling, then at a point where she was going to break contact with the OM completely. Gone to see the OM behind my back. Came to believe our marriage was worth saving while I took care of her the past few days when she was sick, and went back out to see the OM again as soon as she felt well enough. Yesterday. Today we went out to lunch before she had to start work, and I will be picking her up from her work in about 90 minutes. In all honesty, what I want is to wake up in the morning and realize it was all a bad dream. Realistically, I would want her to open up to me again, break all contact with the OM and focus on us. Either get her to accept I have dedicated myself to find a job here and finally got an interview set up. I despise the impersonal way applications work here. This will be my first human contact other than dismissive responses to follow-up phone calls, or to have her come back to Europe with me, which just over a week ago she was willing to do. This, however, would include her having to learn a new language and deal with the cold winters. At this point, moving back to Europe by myself would mean a significant hit in finances based on what I would have to leave behind. There is some stress as to a departure date since I refused to leave without my dog, who moved to the US with me, and airlines refusing to fly animals during the warmer months of the year. I would either have to get this over with and accept my losses, emotionally and financially, and leave, or endure here until September and take my time sorting everything. I know alcohol is not the answer, and I have never used it as such. In fact, until recently I never drank at all because I hate the taste of beer and figured I wouldn't like the rest either. But I found whiskey to be pretty good and somewhat relaxing when I tried it a few months ago. I figured I could use a little relaxing this weekend, and I don't think one bottle can do much. Days later, tonight, I have had about 4 fingers of whiskey, and that is where I stopped. I am well aware of the risk imposed by mind-influencing substances. I have downed 1 bottle of whiskey in my lifetime, which I emptied some time ago, and have felt a small desire, yet no reason to replace. Tonight, the desire was larger, and there was some reason to it as well. I have had a short conversation with my wife. She is still recovering from sickness, was tired, and needs to be up early for work in the morning. I have not yet gone over things in great detail, but I have made obvious I will be filing for divorce within a week if she does not stop contact with the OM. She brought up moving back to the West Coast. After immigrating here, we moved to the East Coast together. Back in the West Coast, she was happier with her job perspectives and her family being close, which she says is part of why she has been unhappy. She is considering breaking contact with the at this point and mentioned she has considered doing so before but had not thought through the reasons for it. Our lease here will be up in June, so if we stay together and move back to the West Coast, that is probably when it would happen. Meanwhile, the is roughly 17 miles away from where we live. I still have hope this will work out. Before making any major decisions, I will await a clearer answer on her part, or at least a clear head on mine. I am not used to alcohol, and though I am a 200-pound male in excellent health, I was told this by the doctor examining me for immigration approval, which covers physical health only. Mentally, I am in turmoil and feel quite capable of most tasks. I would not trust myself with operating a vehicle, power tools, or major life decisions at this point. Right now, I am merely appreciating the minor numbing the alcohol has provided. During our talk, my wife spent most her time looking, playing with her engagement ring, commenting on its beauty, perfection. Not sure if I should attribute any significance to this, but as I said, I still have hope, and the alcohol probably doesn't hurt for that. So, it's been a few days. I had become hopeful since she seemed to have cut off contact with the At least I didn't see her contacting him as I did before. She was also acting like she was more willing to save our marriage. She was supposed to be with her sister, who lives a few hours from here, for a few days because she had missed her birthday. I tried calling her and found her phone was turned off, which is highly unusual for her. I then traced the phone's last known location to a motel a good 15 miles from her sister's house. I logged on her Facebook account and found a conversation she had with an old co-worker where she stated she was starting a divorce. At this point, I just want to order a plane ticket and leave. Do I have to stay in America for the divorce procedure? Today I'm telling my friends, told a few so far, and licking my wounds. Tomorrow I'll start preparing for the future. I never cared about the visa. America has its pros and its cons. I never cared much either way. I moved here for her and because she thought the winters were too cold in the Netherlands, not France, where I lived, to move there, and she didn't speak the language. I had a well-paying job back in the Netherlands, and a standing job offer if I return. I loved her very much, and despite what happened, I can't deny I still have significant feelings for her. This is going to hurt for a long time. I'm going to regret drinking this whiskey on an empty stomach, but it's too late now. I have been tracking her phone. He is the only one. She doesn't know if she will stay with him. I talked to her sister and said my goodbye. Also told the sister I forgive her for hiding the fact she brought him there with her. Told my brother-in-law thanks for not allowing him to stay at their house. Her parents have had one awful daughter to deal with. Not sure I want to pile on a second one right now. Either way, they'll forgive her, I'm sure. They always have gone easy on her, compared to the other two. Not doing anything big today. As I said earlier, I am going to be licking my wounds and talk to people who care. Tomorrow is when my future starts. Next day, told her I would be leaving when I talked to her on the phone this morning. Told her younger sister after I came back from the job interview I had today. It was the first American company to offer me a chance at an interview. I felt obliged to go and explain to them what was going on and that I would not be taking the job. Didn't talk to the older sister. I'm not that close to that one. It's the black sheep of the family, even though she is finally getting her act together. She messed up 2 kids getting to where she is today. The first time we met, she didn't know much about me, but she fell head over heels in love with me. That said, she had just come out of a relationship and has never been in a relationship with someone that didn't cheat on her before me. The scariest thing in my life was when she kept telling me how perfect I was. I have always known I am not perfect and would never claim to be. I have plenty of good qualities, but they appeared wasted on her in the end. Everything is basically in her name since I came here with 0 credit history. Everything that is in my name is fully paid off or in the black. As far as I am considered, she has had more than enough chances. Before, I was willing to believe she had not slept with him. That belief has turned into a fairy tale, and I am a little too old for fairy tales. Right now, summer is coming. Suppose I have that to look forwards to. Practicing tricks with my dog in the park always did attract the ladies. Can't say I don't feel lost anymore. I might have a sense of what direction I am headed, but it still feels a long way away with considerable obstacles. Meanwhile, I am in a relatively strange country with few true friends in close proximity. Don't mistake my current state with doing all right. I have been sick and the coughing has kept me from sleeping much the last few days. Did not sleep at all last night. Took energy shots to get through the interview and medicine to keep my throat from hurting. Had whiskey when I came home from the interview, and I think it is fair to say that despite having had a chance to prepare, this still shocked me. At one point she texted me she was starting to like the idea of marriage counseling and a future with me, but I stopped responding to her before that. All I know is that she is roughly 5 hours away with another guy who has surely been comforting her in the sobbing state I last heard her in on the phone, and has made no attempt at returning home in the last 4 hours. Don't have time for a nap. I was sent a drinking buddy who will drop by after he finishes work. They wouldn't take no for an answer. Just had the one glass of whiskey and I'm starting to feel sober. Got someone coming over who will try to pour more whiskey into me though, but I wasn't planning on that. I'll figure out how to deal with that when he gets here. If it would stop raining, I would be inclined to head to the dog park, but that doesn't seem likely. The other guy, also foreign, Australian this time, but already legally residing in the US. She made it a point to specify this isn't about him and doesn't seem intent on staying with him. I think she cheated once on her last boyfriend shortly before breaking up and meeting me. When I first met her, she was having a big fight with her younger sister who found it outrageous she would cheat. Yet now she was willing to keep it quiet for her. At the time I didn't know what the fight was about. I found out about that much later. I think I mentioned before she runs away from pain rather than try and resolve a problem. I feel fairly confident that in a few months she will rethink her position, which is why I plan on severing all ties with her family and mutual friends. It seems safer and less painful that way in the end. I went to the job interview, but only to tell them I would not be taking the job because of my current situation. They appreciated that I still came to the interview and actually said I could have the job if anything changed. That said, a divorce would cost me my green card, so even if I wanted to stay, I couldn't. She's on her way home now. Don't think she cheated on previous boyfriends. That was mostly in her mid to late teens. I met her at 19 back then. When I first met her, she was having a huge fight with her sister. Years later I found out the fight was because my wife had cheated on her ex at the end of their relationship. At the time her sister was incredibly offended she could have done such a thing. This is the same sister that was now going to hide the fact that my wife was committing adultery at her house. Anyways, she came home this morning and I spent a good hour yelling at her. Told her to call in sick to work because she was damn well going to sit there and listen to me. She called in, said she was having big problems at home, and they said she either had to be in the hospital or get fired. She ended up going to work crying later, so I guess I'll have to postpone the rest for a while. Meanwhile, this was the first day I was starting to feel better physically since I've been sick the past week, and went out to breakfast this morning and lunch later in the day. Tried eating some new things I hadn't tried before. I figured if I'll be leaving soon, I better make the most of it while I'm here and try some things I won't be likely to find in the Netherlands. On that note, I've been thinking of going to a range for an hour or so. Might be a stress relief. Days later, need to get out of here, but there is too much left to do before I can go. I'm struggling to hang on and probably hit rock bottom yesterday. It's 6 a.m. now and I'm tired but can't seem to fall asleep. Okay, so today things blew up big time. I'll spare you the details leading up to this, but last night I finally decided to go through with exposing her by posting it on her Facebook. Tagged the in the post as well. He untagged himself sometime this morning and I was told I was lucky he managed to do that before his girlfriend found it. There was a lot of yelling and screaming where she wished I were dead or she would take my dogs and drop them off in the middle of nowhere and far more. Her parents came to her defense, on Facebook, right away as was to be expected. They have always coddled her and that won't stop anytime soon. Financially it's a big mess. She is demanding she gets to keep everything. Threatened to call the cops on me as well. Not sure on what grounds, but oh well. She wants me to leave right away and says she will handle the divorce without me. I can only assume that is because if I leave, she gets to keep everything and square things away any way she likes. If I stay for the divorce it would be a 50-over-50 split. She also threatened to take it to court because she has a free lawyer. The Om's best friend is a lawyer, I guess. This would turn into a huge mess for her since I have access to more than sufficient resources to hire my own lawyer. At this point, the text messages I obtained over the past 2 months along with location data from her phone, which I would assume suffice to show intent and opportunity, which are the two criteria here to prove adultery. I also recorded several conversations today in which she admits to adultery. Adultery in this state is punishable by a $1,000 fine and up to 12 months in jail. The jail time would likely ruin her career as a teacher. To this point, I feel so much love for my wife that I feel horrible about what has happened and what may happen if this continues. I don't want to ruin her, but I can't let her get her way again and get rid of me in such a way. Anyway, big mess. I have no intention of blowing anything up. I do not currently have a lawyer, still hoping to avoid needing one. The threat of this going to court is hopefully enough for her to handle this somewhat fair. Several people at her work already know. They gossip, the rest should know soon enough as well. I know the apartment complex he lives in but not the actual apartment. I don't know the name of his girlfriend or what she looks like, and I don't have time to stand around his apartment complex to find out. Time is relatively short. I must leave before May due to flight restrictions on dogs during the summer. I hope to work this out and leave within 2 weeks. The sooner the better. Once I sign papers, do I need to stay in the country for the rest of the divorce proceedings? I don't expect the OM to stay with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I can't imagine she does either, considering he has a girlfriend and is sleeping with a married woman. It's just not relationship material. Took my dogs to the vet yesterday to get them ready for the flight. Turns out they need another 21 days between that and the actual flight because one of them wasn't chipped. I'm stuck here for another 3 weeks. I just want this over with. She's threatening to have me deported, claims I did something to warrant deportation, refusing to tell me what this reason is though. I still have friends in the US I'd like to visit from time to time. If I would go along with deportation, that would become difficult. A day later, and the roller coaster continues. She came to me crying today, begging to try counseling and other things I suggested weeks ago. Now she is saying she doesn't want to lose me again. This is the second time in a little less than 2 weeks' time. She tried making me dinner and make friendly conversation. She has admitted to it being physical and unprotected. Yeah, the is still in the picture. Just yesterday I got another look at her phone. They were talking about how happy they were that I'd be one in a few weeks. Also, I guess the point where I posted about the affair on her Facebook and tagged him seems to have upset him. He stated he wants to punch me. The timeline of all of this: exposure, Tuesday night; deportation threats, Thursday and Friday; found her text messages, Friday, asking me to stay and work on things, Saturday; found a note asking me to stay Sunday, this morning. We have been living in separate rooms. The only room we share now is the kitchen. The feeling I'm getting from what she is doing right now is that she is trying to set me up as a backup. Her latest idea was for me to move back to Europe but stay married to her. That way she could have space to figure things out. I've told her before and I told her again. The day I get on the plane is the last day she will see or hear from me. I'll have to make sure the divorce is handled first. Or would I be able to start and handle the divorce from Europe? Her latest idea was to have me move back to Europe without getting a divorce though. I am not sure trusting her is my best option right now. I won't pretend I have any clue as to what goes on in her head these days. No idea what happened to happily ever after. If I had to guess though, it's the big steps towards me leaving that impact her thought process. Us discussing the marriage being over. Me starting to pack my bags, just to name a few things that drastically changed her attitude, at least for a period of time. No, I haven't slept with her for just over a month now. I think the stress is affecting my constitution. I am sick for the second time this year. I normally never get sick other than the occasional cold. Anyway, she came to me today finally showing remorse. I guess she has been texting some therapist today that the told her to talk to. She finally admitted to having any part in the situation we are in now. Not that that changes anything, but I suppose it's good to have heard her say it. Afterwards I went out to the pharmacy for medicine, and when I came home, she was gone. She texted me later saying she would be back tomorrow, was going to the OM's friend's lake house and was about to lose reception. One of her friends also texted me saying that she told her to sleep with me tonight. Not for the first time. She has been trying to get me to sleep with other women for a while now, one of who is married herself. She has no respect for marriage, for me or for her friends. People keep telling me she has mental issues. It's come up before and is now coming from different people, friends of hers even. Bipolar, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder and bonding addiction have been brought up repeatedly. I'm no psychiatrist and I'm not going to judge on any of that though. She keeps trying to call, text me, says she's afraid to come home in case I'm angry. I've been ignoring all her messages and calls. Right now, the only thing I feel for her is disgust and I have no desire to talk to her. The medicine I'm taking is throwing me off a little, feeling drowsy and distant. Though the feeling of distance might just be caused by the whole situation. Not sure. Definitely not feeling well though. As I'm writing this, she just texted me she is coming home. I definitely don't want to be with her anymore. I am just waiting until my dogs are ready to fly so I can get out of here. She won't move out because she has nowhere to go. The lives with his girlfriend and roommate. She also doesn't trust me with her stuff. Everything in this house is 100% hers in her mind. The last update OP provided was that he got on his plane flying home. Maybe this is his only way of escaping this madness. Story 2. My and I have been separated for a little over a month now and have recently begun speaking. When he first left, he was adamant he wanted a D and refused to speak to me. I did all the things you aren't supposed to do, pleading, crying, so I stopped. I started spending time with friends. I got a new haircut. I bought some new clothes. Within the past 2 weeks, H has been reaching out more, saying he doesn't want a D, at least not right now. He'd like us to spend time together, date one another and take things slow. He always kisses me, tells me he loves me, etc. I think he is scared that if we were to reconcile, that things would go back to how they were, which neither one of us want. I know I have to be patient and let time be my friend and continue I see for myself. But in the back of my mind I worry, what if we don't work it out? I'm sure I am not alone in my fears. 2 weeks later, a little bit of an update on my situation. We are still separated but spending some time together. It's been kind of nice. We've talked and laughed more in the past week than we did the last 3 months he was at home. He told me that he does not want a divorce, but he wants to take things slowly. I agree, neither one of us wants our old marriage back. I have been keeping myself busy with friends and my kids. I don't sit around waiting for him or anything. I am still working on making changes for myself. There is no guarantee that we will get back together, and I don't want to have my happiness contingent on the state of my marriage. One day at a time. Well, we've been apart over 2 months now and I just can't take the uncertainty of it all. I don't want to give up. This is the most important relationship I've ever had in my life. While he is adamant, he does not want a D. He has not said to me that he is committed to working through everything with me. He's afraid that things will go back to how they used to be. I understand his fears. I don't want them to go back to how they used to be either. I wish I had a crystal ball. H and I have been separated over 2 months now. For the first few weeks, I was a mess. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, cried, begged, pleaded, all the things you are not supposed to do. As time went on, I started to feel better. Continued with counseling on my own. Finally got the right combination of anxiety, depression meds. And for the past few weeks I have felt happier than I have in a long time. Here's even. H is noticing my changes. He's made several comments now how he thought I would react to a situation a certain way, and I have done the complete opposite. I'm glad he is taking notice, even though I am finally starting to realize that while I started doing all of this for him, I am continuing to do this for me. The hard part is dealing with the in limbo feeling. He says he doesn't want a divorce, but he can't say he wants to work on the marriage either. He wants to take things slowly, which I understand, but sometimes I feel like we're just prolonging the inevitable. I've thought about quitting, telling him the window for reconciling is closed. Would I be doing it for the right reasons though? Calling it quits because I can't take the waiting? That certainly doesn't sound like me fighting for my marriage. If I do walk away, it's because I have found peace in knowing I will no longer be his wife. And not for self-preservation, but the in limbo feeling. Yeah, it really sucks. I still have days where I am sad, but I'm not sad all the time. I used to feel sad with moments of happiness, and now I feel happiness with moments of sadness. I'm by no means fixed, but I also believe that we are all work in progress. And the day we leave this earth is the day we have finished. My kids have noticed I'm not as angry or crabby. I laugh more. I get out with my friends. Heck, I went roller skating last weekend with some girlfriends and had a blast. Weeks later, yesterday my H attended a counseling session with me. It went about as well as it could go, I guess. He was uncomfortable being there at first but opened up pretty easily. His emotions were all over the place, sometimes close to tears and other times extremely angry. I listened to everything he had to say without interrupting and validating his points. Hearing what he had to say was hard, but good. I needed to see where he was at in his head. We've been separated for 3 months and all this time I have been thinking it's enough time for him to figure out what it is that he wants. And now I know it isn't. I have deeply hurt and broken this man, and it's going to take a while before he feels whole again. I realize now that I need to love him enough to let him go, not divorce, down the path he needs to go down to fix him. While I continue on my path to fix me, what this means for our future is unknown at this point. He said he would like to come back to sea with me again, so that is a good baby step. I know that I have come a long way in these past 5 months. I've grown more than I ever thought possible. All I have been thinking about is me, and I didn't think of him. Well, now here's my chance to do that. Today is my 34th birthday. I woke up to dozens of texts from friends and family wishing me well. And that was nice. I met my mom, sister and niece for breakfast and had a pretty good time. I should feel happy and blessed that so many people care about me, but I don't. More than anything, I wish I could go to sleep and not wake up until 2024. On my way home from breakfast, I broke down in my car and asked God to please give me a sign that things are going to get better. Because right now I feel like I don't even want to live. No, I would never be selfish enough to actually follow through with these feelings. It's just how I feel. H is out of town this weekend with his S at his parents' house 3 hours away. They have a big BBQ every year and he's down there for that, and we are here. I picture him having a great time without a care in the world. I sometimes wonder if his family misses me, misses my kids. For some reason I thought H would be around this weekend and possibly come visit me on my birthday. Wishful thinking. I guess. This pain in my chest hurts so bad. I am so sad that this is my life. Please God, I'm begging you, please take my pain away. 2 weeks later, my husband and I have been apart for over 3 months now, and compared to how I was when he left, I have made tremendous progress. There were mornings where my greatest accomplishment was getting out of bed. I felt like I would never be able to go on living, or want to live. Without my H, I would sit around staring at my phone praying that he would call or text. And it never happened. I did all the things that you're not supposed to. Crying, pleading, begging, etc. I look back now and cannot believe how pathetic I was acting. One day I woke up and I just felt different. It didn't hurt as much. I didn't feel like I wanted to fade. For me, this was progress. I realized that there was more to me than my H, that he does not define me. I was already an IC for myself, and I've kept going. I started hanging out with my friends, doing more activities with my kids, and volunteering. I won't lie, some days are still hard, but not all day every day. And some days are great. I am realizing that I cannot control his actions or behaviors, but I can control mine. Life does go on, and you will find happiness again, but you have to work at it. You can't just sit around and wait for the helplessness to go away on its own. You have to work at it. Last night I went out with some friends and had such a great time. I had anticipated staying out for about an hour, but an hour turned into 4. My stomach muscles hurt from laughing so much, and I am in such good spirits today. For the first time in a long time, I feel like the old me again. Not the whiny, self-conscious me, but the loud, fun-loving person I used to be. My friend even commented on it. I even met someone, not that I am even remotely close to wanting to date or anything, but it's nice to have male attention and know that I still got it. It does get easier, so don't give up. 2 months later, when he first left, I could barely get out of bed in the morning. I never thought I would be able to make it through life without him. Guess what? I'm still alive. I won't lie, I still have my moments and I do miss him like crazy. But they are moments and don't consume my entire day like they used to. I spend time with my friends, I spend time with my kids, I volunteer. I read, I pray, I laugh. Don't sit around moping because it won't change anything. It makes you feel worse. If you're able to, I would highly recommend counseling for yourself. I have been going for over 6 months now and it has made all the difference in the world. I feel like a new, more confident woman and I have come a long way. Keep your chin up and keep on going. My comment, 2 positive stories for this Monday. Hope you guys can got some positive vibes from these ones. And I'll be back with more lessons.